If you've ever felt, trapped in that cycle of diets, the hope, then the disappointment, maybe feeling like you're the problem, well, you know that struggle with weight loss. And now there's all this buzz around new medications, things like semaglutide. It's tempting, isn't it, to see them as maybe the magic fix. But what if there's a different way, a more human-centered way? That's what we're diving into today, the philosophy of Dan Hollis. His approach goes way beyond just medication. It's deeper. We're looking at his semaglutide manifesto, a personal story called The Day the Food Craving Didn't Come, and also what Dan Hollis taught me about failing gracefully. Right. Quite a lot to unpack.
Absolutely. And our mission here really is to see how Hollis reframes this whole journey for you. It's about seeing the drug as just a tool, navigating those complex emotional bits, and even changing how we think about failure. It's not just weight loss. It's about your relationship with food, your body.
Yourself, really.
Profound stuff.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The manifesto. Hollis immediately pushes back against that magic fix idea for semaglutide. What's his core message there? How should we be thinking about this drug?
Well, the first big thing he says right in the manifesto is, this is not a drug journey, it's a human one. That really sets the stage. He insists semaglutide isn't magic, it's a tool, yes, a powerful one, that changes how your brain processes hunger and reward, which he says can be liberating, sure, but also, interestingly, terrifying for some.
Terrifying? How so?
Because it's such a fundamental shift. And that's why he stresses the need for support, education, and real human guidance. It's not just about the prescription.
Right. So understanding the biology is key, but it's not the whole picture. And this leads to something really interesting, he says, that willpower was never the problem. That hits hard, doesn't it? So many of us believe if we just had more willpower. How does he challenge that?
Yeah, he really gets that people have tried willpower over and over. And he basically argues it's a losing battle long-term because, as he puts it, biology, emotion, and habit loops are stacked against you. Our biology wants us to store energy. Our emotions seek comfort in food. Those habit loops are deeply wired. Trying to fight that with willpower alone, it's exhausting and often futile.
Okay, so if willpower isn't the issue, what is? Where does he say the focus should be?
He links it straight to emotional well-being. He makes the point, this is emotional weight as much as it is physical weight. We eat when we're anxious, lonely, bored. You know the drill. It's not just physical hunger. Semaglutide might quiet the physical hunger signals, but he warns, without support for the rest of it, most people relapse. So his system really focuses on that emotional recalibration, learning new ways to cope.
Emotional recalibration. So for anyone listening, it's recognizing this isn't just a body thing, it's mind, emotions, the whole package. You need support for all of it.
Precisely. It's a holistic view.
And that idea connects perfectly to this concept he calls the quiet window. Let's explore that through Kate's story from entry #1. Can you set that up for us?
Yeah, so Kate, she's 46, mother of 3, 2 months into using semaglutide. Physically, things are going well. 7 pounds down, side effects are minimal, blood sugar's better, looks good on paper. But then something unexpected happens. She tells Hollis, I walked past the pantry, and for the first time in 20 years, nothing reached back. That constant craving, her familiar rhythm of hunger, it just wasn't there, vanished.
And Hollis's response is fascinating. He doesn't just brush it off. He leans in. He tells her, that's the quiet window. That's the moment where the food stops answering your questions and the real ones start talking.
Yeah.
He actually acknowledges the grief of losing the thing that numbed you, even if that thing was harmful.
Grief for craving.
Yeah, because Kate wasn't missing the food itself. She missed the signal, the predictable rhythm, that feeling of knowing how to make herself feel full, even if it wasn't true satisfaction. It was the silence that was jarring. Wow. Okay, so if the food stops answering, what questions are left talking in that quiet window?
That's exactly where Hollis says his real work begins. Not when the scale drops, but right there. It's when, as he says, the person starts hearing the echoes of all the years they used food to muffle the deeper questions. Questions like, what am I hungry for when I'm not hungry? Who am I without the chase? What's left when the noise goes? Big, deep questions about identity, purpose.
Really profound stuff. And he doesn't just give a pep talk then. The source says he offers scaffolding. What does that mean here? How did it help Kate?
Scaffolding, yeah. Think of it like temporary support structures while you're building something new. Hollis defines it as not motivation, but momentum, not restriction, but recognition. He gets that the drug doesn't magically fix emotional eating. It just clears the runway so you can finally see what's trying to land.
Clears the runway. I like that metaphor.
Right. So for Kate, the scaffolding wasn't some huge overhaul. It was small, consistent shifts. Like one day, not snacking through sadness, just noticing it. Another day, choosing tea over that second glass of wine. Taking a walk on Sunday. And this is key, not because it burned calories, but because it felt like, and this is a quote, a conversation with her future self.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it? She's not instantly fixed. She's just in the quiet, listening. That's the process. That's the scaffolding in action.
Okay, so this isn't a quick fix. It's a process, and it requires looking ahead. Hollis talks about the long game, right? He warns against losing weight too fast.
Yes, definitely. He's very clear. Fast weight loss without metabolic pacing is a trap.
A trap. Why? What happens if you lose weight too quickly?
Well, the manifesto explains that your metabolism can slow right down. You can lose muscle mass, which you really don't want.
Right, muscle burns calories.
Exactly. So it actually undermines your long-term success. That's why Hollis emphasizes pacing. It's about timing your nutrition, your habits, your progress, so your body can actually sustain it. Building a solid foundation, not just, racing to the finish line.
Makes sense. And related to that long-term view, he makes this really crucial point. The real work begins after the medication. Why focus so much on the after right from the start?
Because Hollis knows, and he states it bluntly, semaglutide is not forever. That's the reality. And if you haven't built new strategies, new ways of coping, when the drug stops, the old patterns come back. Appetite creeps in. Emotional triggers reactivate.
The rebound effect we hear about sometimes.
Pretty much. So he starts building those habits that can live beyond the injections from day one. It's about creating sustainable change, not just relying on the medication indefinitely. It's strategic foresight.
Okay, so it's a human journey. There's this emotional recalibration in the quiet window, and you need a long-term plan for after. But life happens. Things aren't always smooth. What about setbacks? Most of us see failure as the end. Hollis sees it differently.
Radically differently. That failing gracefully piece really highlights this. He completely reframes it. He says, failure isn't the end. It's a message, a moment of feedback. He even calls it the most honest conversation you'll ever have with yourself.
Wow. Not shame, but a message.
Exactly. He treats it like a data point, something you learn from, adjust from, not a reason to beat yourself up.
That's liberating. He even says relapse isn't a betrayal, just the brain asking for the old familiar rhythm. It takes the blame out of it.
Completely. It acknowledges the power of habit and biology without making it a moral failing.
So why do people fail then, in his view, if it's not weakness?
He argues most people aren't failing semaglutide. They're failing to prepare for what comes after it. So if there's a breakdown, it's not that the person is broken. It's a sign the support system, that scaffolding we talked about, needs reinforcing. Maybe a tool needs adjusting.
Right. It's about fixing the process, not blaming the person. He even says the shame isn't in failing. The shame is in pretending you were supposed to be perfect.
Such a powerful line. And this ties into his idea of grace. For Hollis, grace isn't about being perfect. It's about how you respond to a stumble. Do you reach for blame, or do you reach for a better tool?
A better tool, not blame.
He encourages you to ask, what story am I telling myself about this failure? And is that story helping me become who I want to be? That self-reflection, that curiosity instead of judgment, that's failing forward, using the stumble to actually move towards transformation.
Failing forward, I like that. So wrapping this all up, what's the big picture here for someone listening? What does this deep dive into Dan Hollis's approach really tell us?
Well, it fundamentally shifts the perspective, doesn't it? It shows that this journey, whether with semaglutide or any health change, it's so much more than just the physical. It's deeply human. It demands we pay attention to our biology, yes, but also our emotions, our habits, our inner landscape.
So the key takeaways seem pretty clear then.
I think so. First, the drug is a tool, a powerful one, but just a tool, not magic.
Right.
Second, willpower alone.
Yeah.
Not enough. Biology and habits are strong forces. Third, that emotional piece, dealing with what comes up in the quiet window, is absolutely critical. Emotional recalibration.
Yeah.
Fourth, long-term success needs pacing and a plan for after the medication stops.
Definitely.
And maybe the biggest one, setbacks aren't failures. They're feedback.
Yeah.
Opportunities to learn, adjust, and fail forward with grace.
It really reframes the whole thing. It's not about starting over constantly from a place of shame,
No.
but about starting right, as Hollis says, with the right tools, the right support, understanding the process, embracing that idea. There is no shame here, only process.
Exactly. It's about process, not perfection.
So as a final thought for everyone listening, maybe something to reflect on.
Yeah, consider this. Where else in your life, maybe completely outside of health or weight, Might you be experiencing a quiet window, a place where the usual noise has faded, and maybe you're mistaking that quiet for emptiness? What deeper questions, what true hungers might be trying to land if you just listened, if you sought scaffolding instead of shame, and saw every stumble as a message, an invitation for growth?